I'd had a friend who told me that there was a boat in Veracruz, Mexico, that would take your Volkswagen bus uh, to Poland for $200 and $100 for each passenger. So I bought this old Volkswagen bus, and I had a friend of mine, Arlo Acton, sculptor, design and build a place so we could sleep in it. And we took off for Mexico, thinking eventually we'd end up in Veracruz and get this boat to Poland. And and so we spent 3 months driving around Mexico and camping on the beaches. We never stayed in a hotel. We always slept in the bus. We usually stayed in the Central Plaza. We felt the safest place would be right out and stay. And we spent 3 months like just touring around Mexico, not really doing anything. And finally got to Veracruz, driving up and down the docks in Veracruz, asking about this bus, this ship to Poland. And so that turned out to be futile. Nobody had ever heard of this ship to Poland. I had found out that John Cage had taught at Black Mountain College. And through Black Mountain College, I was able to write him a letter and contact him. I invited him to come to my high school class to to do a performance of the piano, live performance. And in this town of Reading, where nobody understood anything about any kind of music, actually. And so John Cage surprisingly accepts my invitation and comes on a Greyhound bus in New York, Reading. And so when he arrives, I'm at the bus station ready to meet him. And I pick him up and I take him to his hotel. And the next day is an assembly for the whole student body of Shasta High School. And I had arranged for John to play at this assembly, and I opened the concert with the Bumble Boogie, which I had learned, and which is always even these boorish high school kids, they like the Bumble Boogie, they got it, and so I got them really excited playing the Bumble Boogie, and so then I introduced John Cage, and he comes out and he brings all. Oh, he had sent me to the hardware store to get all the hardware for the performance, bolts, paper clips, what have it, clips that went on the keys. And so he comes out and he's like preparing the piano with all these things. And in the meantime, it's pandemonium out in the hall. Kids are throwing these paper airplanes and stuff and hitting each other and just being kids, really, really. And he's very patiently like setting it all up. Well, I think it's partly an obsession that I'm not trying to do. It's a part of an obsession about uh, what does each moment have as a potential for adding to the musical string. And it's not necessarily about looking for something new. It's like because it's that new is already happening. I mean, each day is new, right? So each day that we approach a musical idea, it's a new because we're new. Everything is being renewed all the time. So I think it's just mainly the whole secret to the thing is the obsession of having to do it, and if you don't have, if you don't feel obsessed with it, uh, create a life that invites obsession into the door because it's there for all of us. Some people finally get it's like a disease. Some people have it, some people don't, but you can catch it from somebody else. I hadn't been thinking too much about any kind of serious music for a while. I was just enjoying my, playing piano in clubs. And one night, and I have to admit that I was a little bit altered. Was going to Gold Street, and I heard MC in my head. I heard the thing just playing, and it was the first time in my life that composition kind of came to me like that strong. It put me in a state uh, that was I just knew that this was something different. And I had been working on this kind of idea of repetition with musical instruments because I'd worked with, before I'd left France, I'd worked with Chet Baker doing music for The Gift, and I'd made loops of him playing. So that gave me the idea that I should compose a piece with instruments kind of playing in loops. Like I was thinking, tape loops is the model for the instrumental pattern, which is repeated musical cycle or cell. And so I started, one thing I was doing while I was working at the Gold Street Saloon, I started writing this long, complicated jazz chart, kind of based on the Chet Baker loops that I was kind of delusionally thinking I would get premiered at the Monterey Jazz Festival. Of course, nobody knew me down there, but it was some kind of idea I had, so I was going to write it anyway. And I called up Ralph Gleason, the San Francisco Chronicle, a jazz critic, and told him about it. And he said, "Oh, I know Chet Baker. I'm not interested in what you're doing." So, but I kept writing it, and it was during this period of writing this chart for the Monterey Jazz Festival that the NC was spawned. So, I guess what I'd say to your question is that sometimes when we're doing something else, the real thing occurs to you, what you really should be doing. And just the act of doing something, sometimes just the activity keeps your mind lubricated or your spirit lubricated, so you're receptive to this and recognize an inspiration when it comes to you. So the next morning, uh, about 5 o'clock in the morning, Lamont knocks on my door and says, "Guruji wants you to come down and massage him." And I'd never massaged anybody in my life. I didn't even really know what massage was. And I said, "What?" It's 5 in the morning. I was also a night person. I was usually staying up all night and getting. And I had been a vegetarian for a year. And I said, "Oh, Guruji, I'm sorry. I'm a vegetarian. I can't eat meat." And he said, "A lion doesn't live on grass. You are a lion now. You're a Ragat singer." so So I had broke my vegetarian style that day, and because I definitely wanted to become a lion. When that happened, 9/11 happened, and I remember thinking, I can't write music after this. It's like I can't think about music. It's like it sort of hit me, like knocked all the wind out of me, and I took about 4 months off after 9/11. Didn't write at all. But when I came back to writing Sun Rings, I thought Sun Rings should be not about space exploration. Should be about humans being down here on Earth and looking at space and marveling at it, not trying to go land on a planet somewhere. It isn't about that kind of excitement. It really should be about awakening of the miracle of what we're on this piece of dirt in the middle of a huge universe means. So I wanted Sun Rings to kind of express that more than space exploration, especially after 9/11. Why are we doing these kinds of things to each other? That became the big question.